I've heard some people say that, playing the Albert can feel like a party in your own living room. And it could also, on the other side of things, feel like attending your own funeral.
The Royal Albert is one of the few venues left that has sort of this incredible punk lineage.
Everyone's played here. It's one of those clubs like the Marquee in London, CBGB's in New York.
I used to go see Green Day at the Royal Albert.
I think what's remarkable about this place is its longevity.
There was the Embassy in London, which is gone now. Smiling Buddha in Vancouver.
It's one of the original places to go see punk in Canada.
You can feel the history oozing out of the walls.
In the Golden Triangle of Southern Ontario, there's 6 million people, and there's literally dozens of towns in which a gig is possible. But if you want to tackle Canada, well, there's this thin strip of a ribbon of a highway called the Trans-Canada, and it goes through Winnipeg, and if you're an all-original, kind of left-of-center band, you're playing the Royal Albert.
Just postering for a show tomorrow night at the Albert. With the wind chill, it's got to be like minus 30, maybe. It's pretty cold. My hands are frozen. I've been doing this for 5 minutes, so.
Winnipeg's not a pretty city. Winnipeg is a dirty, hard city, and the people that like it here, we like it. But most people that come through, they can't see that, because you have to, you gotta be able to scrape the shit off your windshield and see what's underneath.
I went to high school in Winnipeg. I think that Winnipeg definitely is an environment to grow up in and to come of age in. It's cold here in winter, there's not a lot to do. And if you're not getting in trouble, you're playing in a band.
The first show that I played at the Albert was with Propagandhi, and I think that was 1991. The Albert was definitely the only place I can think of back then that was letting any fucking band show up and play. It was basically, can we play? Sure. Can you guys go poster and bring some friends? Your band can play.
The music scene that thrives at the Albert is not an entirely money-obsessed one. There are people who can't hack it and come here and think it's dirty or gross or slumming it somehow. And that's okay. I mean, the Albert's doing fine without them.
This is our vacuum right now. See how much fun this is? As much as we're a bar in the daytime, live music is what the Albert is about. We're here for the musicians. We're here to help them get ready for their show. When people do have an opportunity to play here, they really feel special. And I think that for the first-time bands that, maybe they're not first-time bands, but they've been playing for a while, when they finally do get an Albert show, it's special to them.
The Albert is the place where anybody in the bar could quite potentially be in the headlining band that night. It's a place where the people become the performers, and they're inspired by the acts that they see. They're inspired by some out-of-town acts that they see. They get together in their little groups and niches and cliques of friends and say, hey, man, we got to get something together, and where can we get a gig? Well, we can get a gig at the Albert. We'll open for someone on a Thursday night for a case of beer, and we'll have a show.
We met each other sort of through the Albert. I lived with a guy from India, and he was interested in the name Propagandhi, so we came here together and fucking saw it.
And I guess if a place lets your amateurish band play once and then invites you back or lets you come back a number of times, you get comfortable with the place, then yeah, it can help the band, not just go back to the basement and never play live again.
For me, it was not just playing, oh God, I'm gonna play my first show. It was I'm playing my first show and it's at the Albert. I mean, it was huge for us. I always tell people that the Albert is sort of the CBGBs of Canada.
CBGB's benefited from the fact that it was in New York City. Considering the Royal Albert's in Winnipeg, which probably has a tenth of the population of New York City, I think it definitely ranks right up there with CBGB's.
I hear those comparisons, and I mean, they're flattering because I know what CBGB's means to an entire planet. The Albert's been fortunate enough to have a similar story. All that you have when you're a promoter is your reputation, and there's about a million things that you can do wrong. I've been really lucky in this lifetime working with cool people, and a lot of that has to do with trying to work with stuff that I have an interest in the first place. Otherwise, it's mechanical. You're just booking shows in a rock factory.
Sam tries to push the envelope. He tries to keep things fresh. He tries to keep things coming, and it gives local bands opportunities to open for bigger bands. So whether that be more exposure to people, but even just to get to play with some of your favorite bands is pretty cool. But even aside from that, just keeping bands that I want to see or whoever wants to see coming through is a great thing.
We've probably played here about 6 times. It's always a great crowd here, and great crowds make us play great. But once we come here, we kind of found out it had a great reputation, and been playing here ever since. It's one of those clubs which has got a very rich history. Like CBGB's, it's turned into a major music venue.
I say it every year, and I'll say it again, Winnipeg rules.
I've worked at the Albert probably since about 91, 92. I've probably been here as long as I've been at home, right? Like I've spent probably close to half my life in this bar, right? I know this building as good as I know my house, as good as I know anything.
Hey Q, you got a new ashtray.
Gotta do something there, yeah. Swimming pool. We gotta go up there and fix that shit too. Well, you gotta think, this building was built in 1913 and it's old. Basically, this building was never really built as a luxury hotel, but it was built more as just a nice downtown hotel.
It seems like other places you go to, they do something to reject the past.
At the time, it all made sense.
There you can go in and you can see the old wood. You can kind of still see its past.
From the gray skies that stretch out as far as I can see.
The Albert opened on November 5th, 1913, so just before the First World War. Would have been a fairly nice place to stay, having added bonuses like hot and cold running water, telephones, making sure every room had windows, and a room typically would have been $1.50 to $2.
So it was kind of like the best Western of its day, but it's not, high class, but at the same time not very low class.
It was never going to be, the five-star hotel. The five-star hotel was going to be the big grand railway hotel, which was Hotel Fort Garry, which was literally built across the street from the CN station.
Instead of the Albert getting all the press for a new hotel being built in the city, the Fort Garry got all the press because it was built as a more higher-end, nicer downtown hotel, right?
One of us has to step down, and I'm already the odd man out.
The Albert was more a businessman's or a traveling businessman's hotel located in what was then the warehouse district of the city, the dry goods district of the city.
Albert Street is definitely one of the key streets to the Exchange District. It's that one block off Main. There's some of the taller buildings kind of block its view. In some ways it's sort of tucked into that bend in the road. So it's always been a hotel that's been more in the shadow.
It's almost part of our heritage as a country chock full of, creative people. It's a piece of history. It's a part of my musical heritage and my musical coming of age and upbringing, and it definitely influenced me.
I
We're really lucky, actually, that we have this sort of history, and it's worn on our face. You know, the Albert doesn't get a facelift. The Albert doesn't get Botox.
I'm of two minds about the Albert's history because in many ways the Albert can be credited for being like this bastion for touring bands and local bands and this awesome little venue. But none of that could have existed without 52 rooms upstairs of low-income housing.
The cheap rooms that became available in the post-war in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s made them attractive to the sort of unemployed single male.
I think a lot of people that have come to the Albert for a lot of years, their first experience here would almost universally be, don't go to the Albert, it's a very scary place, bad things happen there. And a lot of that stems from the people that had little other option in their lives other than to live in a place like the Albert. You know, that would create an atmosphere downstairs where people might run into somebody that's impoverished, a little bit crazy, and desperate and poor, and not really know how to deal with that kind of person. But that's what kept the Albert alive.
People didn't go to CBGB's because it was the most beautiful venue in the world. They went there because a lot of great bands played there. And the Albert's exactly the same. I've had the pleasure of playing both. I've played CBGB's 4 times, and really it's uncanny how similar they are.
The Albert smells better than CBGB's.
They're not the most aesthetically beautiful building in the world. They both smell like beer, piss, and Lysol.
There's a pole in the Albert that's just covered in stickers, and it's just like a monumental pole, you know, like you want your sticker on it, and no one really fucks with it, you know. No one peels stuff off. It's like, oh, you know, respect the pole.
I think there's a High Five Drive sticker somewhere up here. Legendary pole.
Some bands make it a tradition to put their sticker on the pole. I've done that, and I'm sure it's covered over by multiple hundreds of bands by now.
I think one sticker every 4 years is probably a safe bet. But you know, if you're on the road, you gotta cover up the old pole there. I'm not seeing the High Five Drive one though.
You know, I saw a Red Fisher sticker, you know, and it's like, band hasn't been around for a long time.
I think over on this side, we have the remnants of a Burn the A-Track sticker. Definitely put in their time here. Oh, the Horribles. This is definitely old school Winnipeg punk, and the Martian Grave Robbers right beside that.
It's great to get to play somewhere where, you know, you've seen the name on flyers, you know some of the bands that have played here.
This is a staple of Winnipeg and definitely means a lot to us. So for other bands to come through here and have stories of the Albert and leaving their mark, I think is an important thing. Especially, it's the Albert. You have to leave your mark somewhere in the Albert, whether it's in the washroom or it's on the pole. Somewhere you gotta leave a trail.
Probably the very first time I was in the Royal Albert was 1983. I went to see a Winnipeg band called Dub Rifles.
When I think about it now, they gave us an opportunity to play a week. The thing was, we had enough material basically to play a couple of sets, so you get to be a good band when you play a week. And you get paid. When we played here a lot, the deal was Zoran, the guy who used to work the door, it was no salami dancing, right? No slam dancing.
For an awful lot of people at that time, the Royal Albert and the basement of the St. Charles Hotel, an old disco called Wellington's, were essentially the hub of the punk alternative all original scene.
It was the alternative, and we were an alternative, and that's the crowd it drew. And it was the thing to do, go see live music, and it meant a lot more now, I think, than it does. Not that live music doesn't mean anything now, but it was intense.
From that time forward has always been an important part of the life of the musical scene in the city. Stretch Mark's personality crisis unwanted. Winnipeg bands through the years have gone on to prove that they can blow anybody off the stage anywhere, particularly if you're talking guitar bands, which the Albert breeds like rabbits.
We wrote this song back in 1982. This one's called Colorblind! Yeah, time's up because he's black. Well, black is that is high class. Go to love of all men. Becomes the color skin, love turns to hate. The person with that me was colorblind. I gotta get it out of my mind.
There's something about the scene here. I think it's always created some of the best punk rock and metal in the world. I mean, it just, people just get it here.
You single colors what a drag. How about racial peace just for what?
I'm sure everyone from their hometown thinks their hometown had the best bands, but frankly, I know we did, and that's an arrogance I've been able to carry with me, you know, throughout my adult life, performing and traveling around the world.
I just think that the bands in Winnipeg, they get it, and that's not discounting bands in other cities or other parts of the world, but Winnipeg has just always had great music.
Bust it out of here, boy!
Here's Wellington's. Wellington's, you open up the big door, and then they had this big long stairway to go down. By the time I started going to see shows, Albert Street had 3 different places for you to go see live punk shows. If you went to the Albert and what was there wasn't, you weren't with it at all, perhaps you even thought the people there that night were complete knobs, well then you could come here. I think Wellington's was starting to not be so prolific in having live shows anymore. There was another place that was all ages venue. I believe it was called the Cauldron. The Cauldron was a place that like Metallica played at, and Slayer played at, and if you can get an interview with, yeah. Did you get that on film? You get that on film? Ah, fucking cool. Okay. Oh, wow. What a crappy chair. Well, today's show, we have the stand-on and we have ripcords.
Johnny Sizzle is a lot like the Albert in a lot of ways. He's the kind of guy that has a better reputation abroad than he does at home. At a certain point, you certainly would have seen Johnny at every show.
Okay, this is the Albert. This is there. This is it. I remember, you walk right in.
I don't think Johnny goes to shows too often anymore, but Johnny is fucking encyclopedia for Winnipeg music scene.
He's put a lifetime into developing, you know, his craft and his art, and at the end of the day, he doesn't get a lot of recognition. I see a kind of a similarity between what we do here as a business and what he does as an artist.
I think there's something maybe nostalgic about, you know, putting time and effort into, you know, making a poster look good and going out and putting them up and, you know, seeing your poster all over town, even if it's just for one day.
Half the time when you mention to someone you're playing at the Albert, going to the Albert, they're like, oh, the Albert, what the hell, you know? And that hasn't changed in like 20-something years that I've been coming, or 20 years that I've been coming here. It's like, people still think it's sketchy.
And it's interesting that it is so tucked away on such a awkward street corner behind all of these like huge corporate skyscrapers and towers, and yet, if any of these people that work there 9 to 5 had any idea what was going on here.
was already playing guitar before I started coming here, and I always wanted to be in a band. That was it's such a dream for me. So to actually come here and see people pretty much my age doing it too is, somewhat of an inspiration.
There's really no other place I'd rather play. Like as a musician in an independent band, whenever we book a show, it's always at the Albert.
By 92, there was this feeling that I just caught the tail end of something. Something that was different than what punk and indie will be in the future.
For a little small place like that, the Royal Albert, really it was on the map for a gig for a lot of American bands to play too.
I remember I was at this Green Day show. It was all ages, and I got tired of slam dancing. So what do? I'm close to the stage, and I sat on the stage right by, I believe the guy in Green Day's name is Billy Joe. Yeah, I went and just sat beside him while he's singing a song. And could I do that at a Green Day concert today? I don't think so.
For us, a band like Green Day was a huge band. But the rest of the world, Green Day was nothing. No one knew who they were. And for us to actually get the opportunity to see bands like that, it was huge. And I think that for me, that made me want to play in a band a lot, seeing bands at that venue.
Getting shows here is like as easy as, asking them. The Albert accepts any band from any scene all the time, so you're sharing the same stage, whether it's like your first show and it devolves into you just wrestling each other, or whether you're packing the place.
God has a plan. The city of Winnipeg is gonna stop it.
If you throw a mic stand around in the middle of a show, that stuff is not really kosher with a lot of sound guys. Here, that's a good show. I want to see bands throw mic stands around.
It wasn't until later on that I found out that all these bands played here, like Green Day and all that stuff. And it's like, wow, they played at the Albert. I played at the Albert. Feels almost like you're sharing an experience with these popular bands. It just makes you feel good.
Talking about the current crop of Canadian punk acts, Comeback Kid, Propagandhi, and the Weaker Thans would be at or near the top of anybody's lists.
They start here playing to literally, 15, 20, to playing now all over the world, but still say, what the hell, let's go play the Albert just for the hell of it.
It's just one of those, I guess, kind of nostalgic things to be able to play the venue that you started out playing at, or that you have a lot of great memories of, shows being held there. It's just fun to be able to come back to, the places that actually have a little spot in your heart.
I think the Albert's the best place to see a band anywhere for me. To play it is good, but to see a band, so many good shows that were extra great because it was there.
The Albert has helped develop a lot of bands, not all local. There's a long honored tradition of bands that have come up in Canada that have all trekked through this room.
They've had lots of even big name bands today, like Nickelback. No one wants to admit it, but Nickelback played there. Well, you know, Nickelback played everywhere.
The deal with the Albert is you played the hotel, you stayed in the hotel. And for 18, 19, 20-year-old kids coming from, you know, relatively solid middle-class backgrounds in suburban Toronto, that could be a real eye-opener to be in a downtown welfare hotel in the middle of Winnipeg playing rock and roll to a bunch of crazies at night.
We don't remember the show, but we remember where we stayed upstairs.
There was like an elderly gentleman who showed us to our room.
Did he take us to a room and we went to another room? I thought he said, you can sleep in my room. And I thought that meant he was going to sleep with us. But then we just slept in his bed, the two of us.
Yeah.
Scared.
Scared, yes, not under the covers, fully clothed. And we watched rodeo on television all night just to take our minds off this terrifying experience.
Second tour I ever did across Canada, it was Change of Heart. I think it was 1987. And we played here and we stayed in the room just actually down the hall a little bit.
And I remember there was just splatters of blood like on the ceiling. And at that point, that's when I was getting kind of scared. I didn't know, was someone killed here or something?
We were giggling all night like a couple of kids, like afraid to go to sleep, not getting under the covers, and just basically waiting for the door to open.
It's like you come out of Ontario and then suddenly everything gets flat. And then you drive into the Albert parking lot.
Everybody who's toured Canada a few times knows the Albert. As soon as the Albert would come up, it's like, did you stay there? Well, yeah, Garth and I actually stayed there. That's always, it's not how was the show. It's really not, did you sell some good merch or how was the crowd? You know, what's the PA like? It's like, did you stay there?
And I remember him telling us to keep the door locked and not to go in the basement.
Oh, that's right.
Don't go in the basement. Like, I hadn't planned on it, but thanks for the advice, I guess.
Yeah! I'm sure when we first came here, like we slept up in the rooms upstairs, but it's a quarter of a century ago.
The Albert has its sort of legendary status, like bands want to play there. That's when you tell people insane things about it, which I guess spreads the legend of its madness.
We're on the second floor of the Albert. Basically, this is the first floor of hotel rooms or live-in rooms. What you see now are just stripped down to the walls. Before, it was all just people had left behind pretty much anything they couldn't fit into a bag or a box. So it was quite the mess.
Fucking kind of scary up here. When people were living here, weird fucking place to live. I mean, fucking music blaring all night.
When I found out we were playing the Albert on this tour, I thought, oh God, you know, is it still going? You know, the story. Like the last time I was here was when they found the arms and the legs in the bathtub the night before I was doing a solo show, and then they found the jewelry and all that stuff.
We'll have bands come from out of town that live nowhere near Winnipeg that'll come in and ask, you know, didn't some guy die here? Or I heard some guy died here. Can we see? So I guess it's a very awkward and odd claim to fame. You know, not only was some guy chopped up in the bathtub, because it's, you know, you hear about that every day and all, right? But like, honestly, to find him wearing Susan Sarandon's jewelry, it just kind of makes it a little, what the hell?
You know, it's like a folktale almost. We made the Wall Street Journal, we made New York Times, we made Much Music, we made everything. You can't buy that type of publicity.
The Royal Albert was bought by a man named Darren Jurgensen, and instantly people were on his back. You better not change it, you better not close it, you better not turn it into some dance music hall. You better start to understand that, you know, there's going to be punk there.
People were fucking freaking out, right? It was like people were told that tacos would no longer be made or sold, like people had shit fit, right?
It was kind of a shock when I heard it because I didn't really know Darren. I didn't really understand what his motives were, nor did most of the people that come to the Albert. And there was a period of wild speculation about what Darren's plans might be.
My background is primarily operate medical clinics and pharmacies, and then I have the hair salon next door. So having an outsider take ownership of the place, and for the music scene to see the guy next door buying this hotel, you know, of course there was lots of suspicion and rumors.
And he even got death threats. Like, not just one. When I worked for the Cobalt, there was a number of times we closed down. I don't think people phoned up the owner of the hotel bar and threatened death to them. Obviously, there's emotion to it.
The regulars that come in feel that it's their home venue. They see the best shows here, so it's hard when you have a good association. You know, if you see your favorite band here and you have a great association for the bar, then it's hard to not feel like you're entitled to it or that it's yours somehow.
There's often times where I'll just come here and I don't even know who's playing, and I'll be like, there's got to be something going on at the Albert, and I just come by myself, and it always seems to be like somebody you know here.
The people who know about it because they care about this kind of thing, and if this weren't that sort of tucked away little venue in the middle of nowhere, not in the middle
Yeah, you
of
say
nowhere.
Albert Street, people don't even know where that is.
Yeah. You have to tell them it's like, oh, it's just off Portage.
It's the fucking Bermuda Triangle of Winnipeg music, you know what I mean?
So how's that white thing?
I think there's always been that feeling that, you know, everyone here is sort of, you know, they're here for the music and a good time and stuff, so you at least share that with them. It feels like a scene, you know, and it's a little more comforting than walking into a club and not knowing anyone or anything.
The Albert, it was almost like, you know, Cheers on one hand. You know, everybody knew everybody. And that's something that is really hard to find. It's rare, and it's just pure.
Mercy, thank you.
While Darren doesn't have the luxury of the downtown housing aspect of things, he's basically subsidizing the Royal Albert Arms to exist right now. It's a huge old building that is hemorrhaging in a lot of ways. It needs a lot of work, but he's sticking with it, and he loves the club.
Walking in the street, what do I see? Nobody sees me, notice me like a
You know, from his perspective, he says, I don't want to fuck things up. There's something going on here that's good already. Why on earth would I want that to change? Yeah, exactly.
It still feels pretty much the same. It's a little bit different because we're basically starting a whole new school, right? We're starting a whole new era.
That's the way I like it!
I'm not the music scene, I'm not a musician, but we know what this place is, we know what it means to people, and we know the goodwill inherent in it with all its history. You can't sit around a boardroom table and pound it out for a weekend and then come up with what you're going to do with the Royal Albert.
I don't necessarily mind this cleaning It's kind of meditative, you know, like sweeping. Every time I do something here, I just think, I look back and I go, it looks like I haven't even done anything. That's what people like about the Albert. Ultimately, you can never change it.
Whenever I play anywhere in Canada, I always kind of compare, well, it's kind of like the Albert, but it's different because it's kind of like this, and you know, like, or where is the Albert of, like, that's where I want to play. I just kind of think, like, where is the Albert of Sudbury? Is there one? Let's skip Sudbury.
I'm very happy to be here at the Royal Albert. This is like an historical venue.
It's great when you go to a place to play a show and you look at the staff and you can tell they're like punks. Nothing puts you at ease when you're a touring band and you walk in and you're like, all right, my kind of people.
Anytime you're on tour and you can see familiar faces or come to a place that you recognize, that's very significant to me. Not only because you can sort of count on a consistency from the last time, but just because you have those relationships that build up. That's another side effect of getting to do this. So I don't want to take any of that for granted. The people who are working with me to facilitate, to create this atmosphere, they're very valuable.
And it's, you know, it's nice to have like somewhere, you know, that's somewhat home, away from home. You know, people are always really nice to us here.
I think that's what distinguishes this room from a lot of others in North America, is that we do endeavor to treat artists like artists.
Working in a venue where half the employees play in bands or tour with bands, we're all pretty good about covering for each other and doing what we have to do and switching shifts.
We work in a live music venue. We want people to be able, that work here, that are in bands, to be able to follow their dreams and do what they need to do, because we understand that.
I think that's one of the coolest things about working here is the fact that they're so understanding about touring bands, and all of us going on the road here and there. Coming back and still having a job is really important, especially at a place where you really like working and enjoy the music. Instead of just going up to a table and talking about food, I'm talking about music. I mean, that's all we really like to do. If I can have a job forever where I just talk about music, I think that would be the best.
It's just part of understanding the music scene. I mean, if we can't understand it, how can you expect someone who's a musician working in another job to get their employer to understand it?
Being part of the community here at the Albert with Sam and everything else, and really up for helping us out. You're always had a good chance to play here at the Albert. That's the one thing. Like, that's why we best call it our home.
You know, we don't need to hang on to every band that plays here. I mean, if I can help an artist sustain themselves and help them grow to the next level, if that's what they're looking for, you know, I'm happy to do that here.
We're happy that those places existed because it helped us for sure, and it keeps local scenes alive and all that stuff.
Winnipeg obviously like supports the bands, and that's why a place like the Albert, I don't know how it stays open, you know?
Me neither, but
we stopped renting hotel rooms here when they got all shitty, but it looks like they're fixing it up.
Look at it. It looks great in here.
Check it out.
I see we have a little bit more. We'll take a look. Where'd my sheet go? I can't say I'm going to stay here forever. I've been here quite a while, and basically, I'd say probably the only job I know. Getting paid for open beer bottle caps, I guess that's not too bad, but this is my life, right? Basically, it's more than coming to work. It's like coming to someplace you know. You're walking almost like a second home.
The story of the Albert is an ongoing living tale that, you know, night after night there's another story added to the book and another page, and you know, you can imagine 20 years from now we've taken care of it or caretaked it for say the next 20 years, and having Sam and Natalie on board that entire time, where it's going to be. I'm pretty excited about it.
I love hearing that when bands come in, they love the Albert and that they have a good experience with all the people that work here. It makes me struggle when I'm here to work really hard. And I don't know why I'm upset right now. You'll have to edit this part. I don't know why I'm crying, but I just like making it a good place for bands that come in. That's why I keep coming back.
He was an antique cat, he cowed you with a glance.
People talk about buildings as if they're just bricks and mortar, and that it's what people do inside them that makes them really important. But the bricks and mortar have to be there in order for the people to do what they do in the place.
And he calls them all fakes because he thinks he's so real. Like
this is the center of town. You know, the Hampton Inn is 2 blocks away. There's this, and yet still in the center of town, there's a place like this or a few buildings close by, and in most cities this would have been gone a long time ago. And I think, you know, kudos to the city of Winnipeg for not circling the wagons and panicking because there was some crazy place that people like to go.
what they told you was true. They only want to make a fool out of you.
Winnipeg being a humble little city like that, where you can go out, tour the world in these bands, but still want to come home and play this dingy club, you know, where half our lights don't work downstairs, and you know, don't take a piss because you can't flush the toilet. You know, it's just to come back to that. It's I don't know. I think this place also helps build character.
Keep the aspidistra flying.
I think that the Albert's always going to be the venue that breaks bands. It's always going to be the venue that allows young bands to give it a start. And there's so many great young bands in the city that it's going to be the venue that people are always passionate about. Throughout the years, you're always going to hear more bands saying, I played my first show at the Albert.
But don't go thinking what they told you was true.
I don't want to sound like I'm being all exclusive or anything, but I think it wants to stay a gem that you have to work at to find.
The aspidistra flying.